All right, go ahead.
Want to open with the sharing screen? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Back in a minute, we'll just give the others to join in for a minute, and we'll go from our introduction. So. Okay, shall we start?
Yeah, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. This is Michael DeCoco. I am your moderator for today's webinar series. In behalf of the California Association of Healthcare Leaders committee team, I would like to welcome everyone to the third CAHL webinar series, Board of Governors Exam Preparation. In today's webinar exam preparation, we will be tackling the management and leadership and business knowledge areas. And I believe you have already received the Google Drive voice-over presentation for these knowledge areas. Next slide, please. Before we will go forward, I'd like to introduce our member of the committee who gave their time generously in making this webinar series materialize. So I'd like to start with Sherry. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, all. Thank you. I'm Sherry Ambrose, and I'm a California Association of Healthcare Leader Board member and a fellow in the American College of Healthcare Execs, and currently a full-time student. And I appreciate being part of our group today. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Do we have Nora?
Yeah.
Hi, good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Hi, Nora Powers, co-chair. Been with this committee for a long time, and this is just absolutely exciting that we've now graduated to our new world. And for those of you that have been participating, welcome back. For any new ones that are on board, welcome. We hope we find this useful. And again, leave questions, send me questions, leave questions on chat, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. Thank you.
And Rick?
Good morning, Rick Nerad. I'm Professor of Health Services Administration at California State University, Chico, which is the best undergraduate health administration program in the entire state, maybe the country. And we don't brag that much. And I've also been on this committee for, it seems like forever. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you. And Shauna?
Yes, hello. I joined the committee a few months ago, and I'm Director of Operations at Stanford Healthcare, and just excited to be here.
And yours truly, Michael DeCoco. I am a fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executive and the current director for Laboratory and Diagnostic Services at Madera Community Hospital. Next slide, please. So we'll do a few some housekeepings before we proceed to the actual series. Our FAQs is under development. It's under construction right now, and once it is ready and once it's ready to go live, we will let you know. And expect some FAQs in there, some important links. The previous presentations will be adding that in the website. and sample questions and additional resources and materials. So it will be in the on the CAHL BOG exam prep webpage. So, and this is the courtesy of one of our colleagues, Sachin. Thank you for doing this. And Survey Monkey, I would like to remind everyone that the Survey Monkey will be sent to all participants right after the last webinar series. So the committee would like to request if you can take notes as we go with this different series or every session, and consider incorporating these notes during the survey, because this is really important to us for to improve our future BOG exam preparations. And later on as well, we will be having Kim Brown Sims as our guest speaker at around 10:15. She will be here in the virtual place, and she will be introduced by Nora. Next slide, please.
Let me go ahead and introduce Kim really quick before we go to our test taking tips. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So good morning, Kim, are you on? Let me go ahead and take this opportunity. So Kim Brown Sims is our very own current CAHL president, and she is the founder and CEO of KBS Leadership Consulting. She's also a member of the Regent Advisory Council for District 5, and she is an item writer for the BOG exam. So she can't share too many details around what's going into the questions, but she has seen and certainly supports the way that we've been presenting the questions and how to determine how to answer them. So Kim, are you on? I'm just not sure if I can hear you. Sherry, did you say she was on earlier?
Yes, she is on.
Oh, okay. Hi. So Kim is busy, even in spite of her day job, at many other things. She's also the incoming president of the Center for Mental Health Center in Napa. She's an executive board member of the Women in Healthcare, and she's a member of the American Nursing Association's Racism in Healthcare Task Force. And she is about to be a published author of a book called Pricked, which is about, what things prick you to action. And she's developing a podcast for this in the upcoming later this year, and the book should be published sometime next year.
All right, Michael. Thank you, Nora.
Do we have Kim here right now? Maybe we'll just probably bring her in when she's already here. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. So just Shauna, just give me a message if she is already on the line, and I can give her the.
There she is. I see her.
She is online, but we can move on. I think we introduced her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So before we proceed, we'd like to remind you again some test taking tips. So as usual, we've been talking about this for the last few weeks. Relax, when you're taking the exam, take a proper breathing, and when you go to the exam site, you need to have a clear thinking. Read each of the options as true or false. You read and reread and reread. I would like to add one more: reread each question, and beware of questions such as all of the above and all except. So that should be except instead of accept. So all except. Then don't stress on time frames. So the exam will take 6 hours. Take breaks. If my memory serves right, I think you're allowed to take 2 15-minute breaks. And last, tips is to mark questions for review. So if you are not sure if this is the right answer or you're still, debating, just mark that, and because you will have a chance to review at the end of the exam before you will press the last button and pass all your answers. So you have the chance to review all those questions. Next slide, please.
So I see that we have Kim on now. Kim, so we just introduced you. I don't know if you heard the introduction, but just a few things going on in your life, a few things that you are doing in your professional life. So if you'd like to say something to all our participants this morning.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you all for having me this morning. And I had it on my calendar for 10:15, so I apologize if I'm late.
No, we were early.
Oh,
so sorry.
All good,
Sorry.
all good. Happy to be here. I see some familiar faces. Hey, Rick, been a long time. Looking great. I just want to say thank you all for being a part of this. This is a great opportunity for you to get some exposure to the questions and exam, kind of tips as, is already being reviewed here. It's also the step to take in order for you to achieve that certification in the premier organization for healthcare administration. And of course, that's the American College of Healthcare Executives. Joining CAHL and becoming involved with these incredible professionals that are surrounding you today and that you have seen in different activities was the most pivotal, can't speak this morning, the most pivotal step that I took for my executive career, because it really started giving me the exposure to the individuals who make decisions about who they want in their organization. And it really allowed me to be on the forefront of the issues that were happening in healthcare throughout the United States. And we also have international influence. So I applaud you for taking this step and becoming certified. Many organizations are requiring your fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executives as a prerequisite for executive roles. So again, I applaud you. The information you receive here today will be very good. I myself have used this information when I was first preparing for my fellowship. And I just want you to know that you're in good hands. And I think they mentioned that I'm the president of CAHL, so I encourage you as well to be a part of CAHL and get involved in committees, and also to move in the direction of board roles and representation, and also national committee representation and board roles. There are lots of opportunities for you to be involved and develop your peer group. So with that, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to be in here and answer for a few minutes, and then I'll let you get back to the job of achieving greatness. Okay, well, I'm not hearing any questions.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. This is Sherry. Good morning. I appreciate you. And as I mentioned, and we've mentioned during our sessions, and we'll make sure we frame that, is many of our participants will be seeking out individuals for the structured interviews. So as we've all made ourselves available, I'm sure you have been a strong mentor for others. That might be something you could offer as well. If that sounds good.
So I would love to be a mentor. I can be a mentor to you. There is a mentorship available for your FACHE journey. So over the course of several years. At this moment, I can't take any new mentees on, and the reason being is that I sit on the National Committee for the Board of Governors exam. So I am a part of the committee that writes questions and reviews questions. So I'm not allowed to act in that mentee role currently, but I only have one more year on that committee, and then I can open myself back up to that again.
Thank you, Kim. When I introduced you, I did say that you were an item writer for the exam. So, and that you have seen how we've how we've done these presentations, and they've been successful. And I'm so proud that you and the chapter represent us and our district on that council.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the immediate past president, Andrew Pete, is also on that committee. So we have 2 members of CAHL on the exam writing committee, and it's a wonderful experience. I really am enjoying every minute of it. And again, I just have to be very careful about what I say and how I represent myself so that there's no conflict of interest. I wouldn't want any of you to be disqualified.
Good point. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. Don't hesitate to reach out or email should you have any questions for me.
Great.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's proceed to the next slide, please. Okay, so the umbrella on management and leadership. So this umbrella, mostly the management focuses on management principles and theories, while the leadership focuses mainly on cultural, operational, and service leadership. It constitutes 26 questions or 13% of the exam. So under this umbrella, the following are the knowledge areas that are covered in the examination. So first is the knowledge of implementation planning, example, operational plan, management plan. This is also known as the operational planning or execution. It is how you implement your plan as a leader. It is the work of operation and accomplished by setting goals, delegation and authority, accountability, measuring of results, and benchmarking. The knowledge of contingency planning, example is the emergency response as defined in National Incident Management System. Anticipate the unknowns and responding to the constant change application in this knowledge. Planning for changing needs and different scenarios. So you have to remember the question, what to do if on this knowledge. The knowledge of organizational systems, theory, and structuring. Example, the span of control. This is how would you define or how would you determine how many direct reports your director or you will have. Chain of command, interrelationships of organizational units. So mainly this is a matrix management of clinical, ancillary, and support services. In this area, you have to consider who will be impacted when changing, what subsystem will be impacted, and consider that the physicians are also impacted when changing. So knowledge of management functions, example, planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and evaluating. Basically, this will test your ability to apply these various functions in your job. And knowledge of leadership styles and how, in what situation they apply. Consider the history of leadership theories and leadership styles, ability to distinguish and differentiate various styles, and able to adapt to the changing situation for this knowledge. Next slide, please. The knowledge of team building techniques, example, communication, use of practical assessment or training tools. So this is, mainly getting the right people together and motivating them together. And sorry for that. And this is also, I would like also to encourage you to look the Maslow's hierarchy of principle of motivation. So if you can have a basic knowledge on that, I also consider it. The knowledge of change management principles. So how do you implement change and change or strategies for successful change management? So those are the basic knowledge that you have to know. The knowledge of organizational resources, the knowledge of collaborative techniques for engaging and working with physicians. So importance of physician involvement in the decision making, especially if there consensus is needed. So I still remember when I went to the BOG course exam on site in Chicago, one of the co-author of the Well-Managed Healthcare told us that if you are having hard time in selecting the right answer, and if you see the word physicians there, most likely that's the correct answer. so, so that's why the physicians are really important also in the healthcare operations. And the knowledge of diversity and inclusion principles and their influence on team and organizational effectiveness. I would encourage you to go to the ACHE website for diversity and inclusion. They have resources available for you to probably have the knowledge on regarding this topic. And the knowledge of resource allocation methods, example for addressing conflicts among departments or staff over scarce resources. So basically, these are the different knowledge areas that are included in the exam under this umbrella. Next slide, please. Now I will turn you over to Sherry and Rick for the question and answer.
Thank you, Michael. And as we've done this in the past, this is a group process, so we'll ask you to put your answer in the chat room, what you think it is. It gives you a little practice on doing these are important steps for us as we study to get our mindset for this. So, and then if I have a answer and any of our panel has some added input on why it might be the right answer, please chime in. So as we look at the purpose of management in healthcare, we talked a little bit about what some of the components are. Oversee appointment of competent medical staff to render care. This is the management of an organization. Appoint an effective governing board based on the wishes of the medical staff. Implement the mission, strategies, and goals established by the governing board, or implement stakeholder wishes on the future direction the organization will take. So put your answers in the chat room, and then in just a moment, we've got folks going in. Okay, let's look at the right answer, Sasha. So that is C. And as we looked at this, we really think about the mission as being the grounding common theme on what we do in management and healthcare is. And wishes obviously would be a clue, might not be the best answer. There's two wishes. And it wouldn't be the management staff to decide if medical staff, physicians are competent. That you'll study more about that. But that is not the role of management. It's the overseeing site. So next question.
Okay, I'm going to give you my thinking out loud version again of, if this question showed up on the test, how am I going to answer it? And a thing to keep in mind is that you really are not rushed. You've got plenty of time, so you don't have to just jump right into an answer. So I'm going to look at this, say, an effective emergency disaster preparedness plan includes triaging, arriving injured, coordinating with other health resources. Okay, so I know we're talking about disaster stuff, and I'm looking for things that are going to be included in the plan. And those other two kind of look like functions, triaging and coordination. So, okay, hours of operation, yeah, no, disaster, we don't bother about hours. And an active command structure. I'm not sure what the word active means, but command structure for sure. Payment for hospital personnel, yeah, we'll worry about that one afterwards. Regulatory approval, let's see, well, you get some waivers maybe during a disaster, but certainly not, trying to get approval first. So just by eliminating, I've got a false, a probably true, a false, and a false. So I'm going to go with B as the best answer. And did I get it right? Oh, I did. And you'll never guess that I spend a lot of my life doing disaster response. Question 3.
So thank you, Rick. Committees are an important management tool primarily because, and again, this is a good way to do it. Is it true or false? That's how I looked at this one. They provide a mechanism for reconciling different opinions and facilitating decision-making. And I think those of us on committees would say that can be true if a well-facilitated committee is part of the picture. They're the only way for providing intra-staff communications. And if you look at your true and false, as we've kind of said, and Rick's provided us that tip, think about that. They keep staff up to date on new professional developments, the committee, and true or false, and they ensure self-expression and participation by staff. And what I'd like you to go back to is look at management tool, the term management tool. And you'll learn about different management tools in the readings and in the book, Well-Managed Healthcare, and in the slides. So let's have you put what answer you think might be correct. And then we'll go ahead and get the answer session. Next slide. And as you look at this, I provide a mechanism for reconciling different opinions and decision-making. You're really looking at some of the collaborative, which Michael talked about, the collaborative approach. So thank you. Next question.
Okay, which of the following is an output-related performance measure? So I'm thinking back to measures. We've got input, we've got process, we have output. So I'm going to look for output. Okay, provider productivity, no, is that more process? Board satisfaction, well, that could be a outcome, something. Customer loyalty index. Now, index is jumping out to me because it looks like it's a measure, and the question does ask for a measure. And paid nursing hours, no, that's going to be an input to the process. So it's B and C are both possible to me, but I think C is the stronger answer, and let's see if I'm right. Answer, please. Oh, no, really? Oh, man, I was way off on that one. Man, I still think productivity is a process measure. Okay, well, I got that one wrong. I really didn't look at these before. I'm doing them live. Next slide.
So this one you'll need to read slowly, as Rick had suggested, and this would be my recommendation. Don't look at a question and just as I would practice my heart focused breathing on this one, because it has a lot on the question, but just read it slowly. Which of the following statements is in accordance with the principles? And we'll focus on what principles are of delegation. And then as you read it, just think to yourself, okay, what are principles of delegation? And you'll learn about it, and you know about it around what makes good delegation skills. And the executive who subscribes to the principle knows what he or she wants to accomplish and exercises control over the work schedule of subordinates. So that one is kind of a good statement that you might not say is delegation. An executive explains how she wants things done and points out how the subordinate's contribution fits into the overall plan. And slowly, a successful executive gives instructions, telling subordinates exactly how and in what sequence things should be done. So again, we're looking at these verbs and trying to really go back to principle of delegation. And then in applying the principle of delegation, an executive makes relatively few decisions personally and frames order in broad general terms. So go ahead and put in your thoughts, your answer. We'll go to next slide. Okay. And I think here is a good commercial for looking at transformational leadership. And as we do transformational leadership, this just describes it. And Michael sort of supports that, and you'll see that in your reading. So next question.
Okay, here we go. Oh God, really? I like this one. Okay, so what is the correct order of stages? So, okay, I know I'm going to have to put in the stages, and we're talking about organizational change. So identifying, planning, implementing, evaluating. Okay, planning, identifying, evaluating, implementing. No, I got to implement before I evaluate. So B is definitely false. Evaluating, planning, implementing, identifying. Now I got to identify first. That one's C is false. Planning, evaluating. No, evaluating comes at the end. Yep. So it's got to be A, I think. Let's see. Is it? Oh, God. I am so relieved. If I got 2 in a row wrong, I'd really be in trouble. Dr. Sherry.
One of the things I did when I studied is sometimes if it was a big topic, I try and put things in order. But I think what Rick did is much more valuable because you're starting to memorize, trying to memorize PIT. Rick did is very important. It's looking at it from a strategic, what would be last. So thanks for that one, Rick. I'm glad you had that question. In healthcare field, the accountability of management is best measured by, and again, we're going to look at accountability as and measured as the verb. The balance maintained between service quality and operational efficiency. That's a big statement. So we're thinking big. I always think big when I answer these questions. They do want sort of a macro look in some cases. Results shown on the annual expense and income statement. Now there's, that's a component of it, but think big. Balance maintained between physician satisfaction and patient needs. That's important, but that's not big thinking. And degree to which management needs are met. So anytime you see management's needs, know that that would be suspicious. So go ahead and put your answers in the chat room to get the practice. And then we'll look at the right answer. And when I look at this balance maintained between service quality and operational efficiency, you'll see that. I mean, we've talked about that in the triple and quadruple aim throughout your readings. This really is, all things considered, this is the best answer. And sometimes you just have to use that term. All things considered, that has the biggest scope. So thank you. Next question.
And I'm not the only person who's ever worked for someone who made sure that her needs were met prior to anyone else's in the department. Yeah. Okay, so in a dispute between 2 staff physicians, the primary role of the chief executive officer, height is not one of them. So I'm looking at something about interpersonal relationships, and then I'm looking at something about CEO role. Okay, ask a representative of the governing authority to mediate. Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all. Keep the trustees out of it. Avoid any involvement in the dispute. Yeah, maybe. I think I'd like to do that, but that's not my job. Can't do it. So that's false. Meet with both parties as soon as the problem is identified. No, that's jumping in too quickly. I mean, the CEO shouldn't get involved in the weeds that quickly. So I've already eliminated the first 3. So I hope D's okay. Request the appropriate chiefs of service to investigate. Yeah, that sounds a little bit better. Is make sure it's happening at the lower level, make sure the appropriate person, another one from the medical staff, is handling it. So both by process of elimination and by the answer, I'm pretty sure it's going to be D. Most of you put D in also, so let's see if I'm right. And I was.
Sherry, you're on mute.
Thank you, sorry. Research in behavioral science has consistently found that once basic needs are met, staff are most motivated. And as Michael helped us understand more, Maslow is important, definitely important in having that concept grounded for your preparation. So basic needs. Staff are most motivated by an incentive payment program, only by a significant increase in salary, by factors such as being kept informed, and when performance sets them apart from the group, when their own performance sets them apart. So as we look at these again, think of our concepts around behavioral science, what really the themes come out in the literature and also your readings. Basic needs met, and then what's next. So everybody's putting their answers in. Thank you. And all right, let's look at the right answer. Okay, so that really does talk to Maslow's needs being met, basic safety needs and so forth, up through self-actualization as the highest. And communication is a key. And anytime you see things that encourage communication, collaborative work, and transformational leadership, those are strong messages that you'll want to keep in mind. And in addition, folks do want control over their work. That's always been one of the things, but having that has to come from strong communication. So next question.
The cultural climate of an organization affects its recruiting procedure. So the two things that are jumping out at me is looking something about org culture, but more specifically, I'm going to look at the recruiting process. So it reduces employee turnover and absenteeism. Well, maybe if you hire people who fit your culture, they may not leave. So that I'll put that as a maybe. Organization seeks applicants whose everything is consistent with the organization. Yeah, it does do that, for better or worse. Applicants who cannot support a given culture will be unwilling to work for the organization. Not as an absolute. There are some people who will. They either didn't notice it or they ignore it. And applicants only look to organizations that portray a positive culture. No, I don't think that's it either. So I'm going to go with B on this one. I think B is probably the best answer. And fortunately, it looks like almost all of you are putting B as well. Oh, good. It was. Good. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Next, umbrella is the business. So thank you, Sherry and Rick, for those Q&A. It's very helpful. And this business knowledge is just like a mini MBA. So you have to consider some areas here like strategic functions, marketing functions, and how to conduct business in a healthcare marketplace. So it constitutes 18 questions or 9% in the examination. Under this umbrella, the following are the knowledge areas that are covered in the examination, and they are essential actually in the healthcare business operations. So the first knowledge is the knowledge of the strategic planning process. Example is the scenario planning, forecasting, and community needs assessment. So basically you have to know how to apply the or use the known information to analyze and predict. You know, managerial epidemiology also is also needed here, and basic statistics such as inferential and descriptive statistics, and strategic planning related to the organization's mission, vision, and the pathway of the strategic planning. The knowledge of business planning processes, including development, implementation, and assessment. Example, adding new services. So what are the factors that you need to know in expanding or expanding your product or your service lines? What are the components of your business plan? Those are a few knowledge or items that you have to know. The next knowledge is the basic business contracts, such as what constitutes a contract, a contractual commitment, and legal financial implications. Example, intentional damage to a person or business that causes economic harm. So verbal, written, or implied, I think it's considered as a contract. And you need to know, you have to have the ability to differentiate various contract components, such as some contract legal terms, such as tort, breach of contract, statute of limitation, etc., etc. The knowledge of the impact the economic environment has on the organization functions. So this is relating to health disparity. There's a policy on access to care from ACHE websites. I highly encourage you to go and read that. So you must understand the impact of educational level, language level, literacy level, and cultural levels and norms to healthcare. Next slide, please. The knowledge of marketing principles and tools and how to interpret marketing data. Example, market analysis, market research, sales, advertising. Review your 4 P's in marketing, which are the product, place, price, and promotion. Marketing components, that is segmentation, marketing strategy, etc. And the best way how to target your audiences or your market or your population. The knowledge of principles of media relations, advertising, social media, and community relations. So this is separate from marketing. This is you have to have a knowledge between the difference of public relations versus community relations. And the knowledge of the techniques involved in negotiating contracts or services. Example, compromise, persuasion, and relevant factors. Example, utilization, review, and models. And the last knowledge is the potential impacts and consequences of business decision-making on operations, healthcare, human resources, and quality of care. So those are the knowledge areas that you have to know in this umbrella of business. Next slide, please. Now I'll turn you over again to Sherry and Rick for the question and answer portion.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. And this is a big section and takes a lot of good ability to connect to a lot of different topics in the business section, but they're great topics, important topics for fellows. So first question, in looking at physician compensation arrangements, and this is a course looking at it from a federal or global or national perspective. So don't think about it in terms of your individual states' mandates or things, but in looking at a physician compensation arrangement, a carve-out can be described as A, services that are reduced through a leveling of the PMPM. Specific services that are omitted from a general arrangement and paid on a separate basis. Reduced reimbursement for services considered unnecessary by primary care physicians. And D, specialists that are offered a discounted annual payment for certain services. So let's go back and just reread it, because I would do that a couple of times in this case, just so that I felt comfortable and confident. A physician compensation arrangement. So go back to think about that. As you think of that and looked at these answers, start putting it in. Everybody's putting in theirs. Okay, let's show the answer session. Right. And a carve out, as was described, as you do have to have knowledge of contracts, and carve out specifically means excluded. But how we've looked at this is specific services that are excluded and paid on a separate basis. And it's just going through and looking at the general terms in contracting, and just if you don't have experience in contracting, is probably work with some of your mentors that do for looking at those sections and studying a little bit harder. I did not have contract background when I took this exam a few years back, and I spent more time on this section. Next question.
Okay, when contracting for services, contracting again, organization typically finds the best value. Now, I don't like the words typically or best, because right away I know that I'm not going to get an absolute answer on it. So I'm going to have to look for the question or the answer that fits best. Okay, so contracting, organization creates an internal auditor position. I don't think that really is fitting with contracted services. Board member negotiates. Nope, let's keep the board out of the stuff. Organization allows the prospective supplier, really, to develop the expectations? I don't think so. So again, I've eliminated 3 right off the bat. And there's competition between several suppliers, and grammatically that should be among several suppliers with proven performance and reputation. Okay, so contracting services, you sometimes do a request for qualifications first, and then you have them put in bids or put in proposals. So, yep, I'm going to go with D. Next.
So on this question is when data is scarce, the best method of forecasting is to use, and just in your mind, just think about data. You'll have looked at data usages, how we use data as healthcare execs and so forth. And so just keep that in your mind. When data is scarce, meaning data is not there, computer-based simulations methods, forecasting, time series analysis. And again, these could be correct, but think about data scarce. Economic metric forecasting and qualitative techniques. So go ahead and put your answers in. All right. We've got folks selecting, looks like D, so let's see what the answer is. D, correct. And as you've done some of your background programs for your work, you know the difference between quantitative and qualitative. It sounds like people know that. I always try to remember it as easily as possible. Is quantitative is quality. Quantitative is quantity. So that means numbers and data, and qualitative is quality. So you all did well. Next question.
Okay, it always scares me when the first look at my slide is the whole slide is filled with type. Okay, so most, there's one of those fluff words again, most products and services enter a period of decline. Okay, and by that's basic econ. Unless compelling reasons prevail, continuing a declining product is costly because. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the product development stage and then the product lifetime stage, and why is it going to be costly to continue a declining product? So, okay, increased turnover of personnel will occur, maybe. Continuation will set an undesirable precedent. Again, maybe. Okay, so the program will consume a disproportionate amount of management time and delay the search for a replacement. That's best so far. Organization will be perceived as being insensitive. That's not really the cost issue. So I don't really like any of the answers, and I'm looking for what's the best one. And I'm going to do a little guessing here, and I'm going to join almost everyone else who's put down C as the correct answer, and let's see if I'm right. Oh, I am. Good. Sometimes an educated guess works, and sometimes you just don't know and you're flipping a coin. Next slide.
Okay, again, I'm with Rick on this one. If it's a big question, just take a few heart-focused breathing breaths and just remind yourself to read it slowly. So business sample question 5. Before submitting a business plan, so we all can kind of think around business plans for a new clinical service line to the governing body. So this is a big group you're going to present to. The plan should be developed by recommendations from the Finance Committee on the basis of its estimate of income for the budget year. And I mean, that could be part of it. Again, think global. That might be one subset of it. The heads of profit centers, considering each center's anticipated revenues, expenses with the CEO, putting it all together. Now that might be a suspected answer, red flag. And it would be developed again, go back to the question, because when you read these, sometimes the answers could be long, and it's good to go back to the question and really look what it's asking for. The plan should be developed by key executives after receiving recommendations from the head of operating divisions and key physician leaders. And remember, Michael said, when you see key physician leaders, that's an important part. The heads of the operating divisions with the CEO putting it all together. And now you've seen two answers that say the CEO putting it all together. So let's see what folks have. And people are answering. Thank you. And we'll right, C. And that, of course, is all the key stakeholders and key executives, receiving recommendations from head of operating divisions and key physicians. You have incorporated all the key stakeholders in the plan before you go before the governing bodies. Right answer, C.
Yeah, key concept, again, that word key is jumping out at me, for marketing. Okay, marketing healthcare. So adapt services to the customer needs. Well, that's the first rule of marketing, really. Maximize the customer's participation in the selling process, particularly not in healthcare now. Advertise and promote existing services. That's not marketing, that's promotion. Emphasize specialization. Not always, depends on what the needs are. So the only one that really is true to me is A. So I'm going to go with A. And am I right? Oh, I am right. Okay. Next one, please.
Okay, this one takes on another topic. The principal reason a public relations professional should be included in the operations plan following a Sentinel event is PR would be able to determine the correct media coverage, public relations. Public relations PR would be able to proactively develop a crisis communication plan. C, PR would need to know in order to squelch rumors. And D, a PR professional does not need to be involved. And this might be one where it comes down to two answers that you think might come close, which potentially could be A, the media coverage determined, or B, proactively develop a crisis communication plan. And then as you read those two, you'll drill down into what would really be important because it covers the topic above in a Sentinel event and a crisis communication plan. So let's see what folks have answered. B, we'll look at the right answer. Okay, that's correct. And I know that we talked about, Michael brought up the use of our PR and our public relations team. And in the voiceover video too, it talks a lot about it. There were really good points made about us as executives, how we have the ability to work with media and how to be honest and truthful with media. But your PR team, your public relations, whatever your organization calls it, I've worked with them extensively at Dignity. They are really the folks that will help you get the communication plan when you've got so many other things happening in a Sentinel event. So next question.
Healthcare facility can best meet its social and economic goals. So, right, so looking not just finance, but also our social goals. Developing a realistic and coordinated approach to long-range planning, well, certainly. Devoting most of its efforts to development of efficient operational practices, well, that one's going to hit finance, yeah, operation or efficient, but is it going to meet our social goals? Having a good public relations program which focuses the facility and the community, no, that's just telling people we're good. We want to prove that we're good, or we want to be good. And then providing all reimbursable services. Now our social needs may be not reimbursable, so I think I'm going to go with A.
Yay.
Okay, hello. So I'm back again. I think that's the end of the question and answer portion.
Michael, can I interrupt really quick?
Sure,
So-
go ahead.
Sachin, if we can go back to slide 22, we had a question around question number 9 for management, having to do with the behavioral sciences and what motivates employees. So there's a question, I believe Khalid had a question about what references can we look at to determine that? And so Rick and Sherry, I'm going to ask, and we'll put together a more detailed answer and send it out to everybody. But the specific question is, where can we find references that will help determine if this is the correct answer?
Yeah, that's referring mainly to theories like Maslow and Hertzberg, which are looking at how do we meet basic needs before we move on to the next one. So really, it's a basic organizational behavior book, basic management theory book would cover all those, the leadership theories, the motivation theories. And if you didn't have that covered real well in grad school, then it might be worth spending some time. That may be an area that you need to, because it won't be just those theories. It's all the different leadership and management motivation theories you want to look at.
And I think in the Well-Managed Healthcare Organization book by John Griffith, and I think it also they also discuss about motivation related to Maslow's theory, if my memory serves right. Yeah. I think it's there, so probably you can also refer to that.
One of the study books that's recommended is one of the HR principle books. It's in the study guide packet. And again, if your background doesn't include as much work in that area, that would be good. Just from a basic test answering kind of tip is, you've got 2 questions that deal with money. And you've got one that deals with the individual themselves. And so sometimes it does boil down to using your test techniques. And what we know about money is it can we've heard, and there's articles, and you might see research is that the salary if people don't feel they're paid fairly, can be a disincentive, but it's really not a true motivational behavioral science core value for folks in their work, and especially leaders. But I agree, if reading through some of the theories would be important.
And that really goes for all 10 of the topic areas for the test, is identify which ones you feel comfortable in and which ones you feel like you need to go and do more review. When I took it, I spent most of my time on finance, quality, HR, and governance, because those are things that on a day-to-day basis, I just don't even think about. I don't worry about them. So I felt much more comfortable in the other areas. You've got to identify for yourself which are the ones you want to put your effort into.
Thank you for that question, Khalid. I'll see what I can find in the references that we do have available, and what ACHE provides, and I'll put them out there. Possibly not today, but soon. Did that help answer your question? Why, see, thank you. Well, you are very welcome. Now, I'm sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, if there are more questions that we can, answer now, that'll be great. It's time to bring it up now, because we have enough time. It's only 10:57, and I guess we can entertain some questions, if there are some questions out there, before we'll proceed with the Quizlet samples. Okay. So I'll get a few minutes to see if there are some questions out there. Okay, so I think we can proceed with the Quizlet, right? Is that okay to proceed with the Quizlet now?
Shauna, could you introduce one of our guests? I think you have recognized we have a chapter programming chair.
Okay.
Sure. I was just going to call out Nikhil and see if he wanted to introduce himself. I know he's on the board. Yeah. Calling you out, Nick.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good morning. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. As chapter programming chair, I'm also pursuing my fellowship in ACHE. So I really appreciate everyone being here on a Saturday morning. The chapter's definitely evolved this year, or how it continues to offer programming to its members, and our strategic planning session is coming up, where we're going to be really figuring out what next year looks like. But thank you guys all for being here, and for the commitment to the profession by looking to pursue your FACHE.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Shauna. Thank you, Nicole.
Okay. So I can let's proceed to the Quizlet. Thank you, Nikhil. I'm gonna share my screen. Hopefully you will see this. Can everyone?
Yep, we see your screen.
Great, thank you. So this is the main screen, or the home screen for the Quizlet. If you, as we mentioned last week or a few weeks ago, if you buy the flashcards, you'll be able to access also the questionnaires electronically through Quizlet. And this is the home page of the Quizlet, and the different body of knowledge are located under the folders. And if you can see at folders, then under the folders is the CAHL BOG study folders. So you can create your own folders, by the way. And there are the different knowledge are here. You can see it here. And we'll select the management and leadership to answer some questions in there. So I'm gonna select that. Okay, so under management and leadership, we mentioned also last week that you can use this Quizlet in different ways, like flashcards, either as a test forms. So let's use the flashcards version for now. So I'm just gonna click the flashcards version. Oh, okay, welcome to it. Let's go back. Okay. Let me just go in. If you will see in the screen that there's a icon there, speaker, and actually you can press that and someone will read it for you. We'll try it.
A committee responsible for evaluating and prioritizing requests for new equipment.
Did you hear that? Yes, okay. So a committee responsible for evaluating and prioritizing requests for new equipment. So the answer would be, just click anywhere on this screen and it will give you the answer. That's the definition. Then after that, that's the answer for the definition. And if you want to go back to the definition, just click anywhere on the screen and it will go back to a definition again. And if you want to move forward to the next question, just click the arrow below that says view next card. So a form used to request capital for projects or expenditures above a certain dollar threshold includes a description of the item requested, its cost, and its estimated life for depreciation purposes. Any guess? You can just write in your chat box. Is there any guess? Guess answers or what? Okay, so the answer to this is, let's click one.
A form used to request
sorry.
capital for projects or expenditures above a certain dollar threshold includes a description of the item requested,
that?
its cost, and its estimated life for depreciation purposes.
Capital request form. The keyword there is capital, and I think there's a capital in the Okay, next question. I will.
An organization approach that uses product lines to group patients with common conditions in the same areas so that specialists can focus on treating a common category of conditions without having to travel throughout the healthcare organization.
Any answer? I cannot see the chat box. If I was just wondering if someone can. What are the answers there? Putting some answers.
We've got bid waiver, service lines, cohorting, service line model, cohorting.
And the answer
An
is
organization approach.
The answer is centers of excellence. So let's go to the other way on how to study this. We have just used the flashcards, and we will go and use the test. So this is where we can, use either written or fill in the blanks, matching questions, the multiple choice, and the true or false. So let's shuffle this so that we'll get a different questions. Hopefully it will give us different questions. Okay, back. Test. Let's do the multiple choice so that we have a choices there. So question number 1, formal authority granted by an organization to a supervisor and based on the supervisor's position on the organizational chart, also known as positional authority. Choices are third shift, payback period, line authority, communication skills. Any answers there that I cannot see the answers. Okay, let me.
We're getting C and 3.
C and okay. So let's put C. A characteristics of today's global workforce, leaders can guide a staff comprised of many ethnic backgrounds by establishing support groups, connecting a new employee with someone who is from the same culture or who speaks the same language, and educating staff about different cultures. Cultural differences, cultural diversity, return of investment, or personality assessment. Okay, what answer there? Probably any selection there?
We're getting a bunch of B's.
Okay.
And someone said cultural diversity, or B's.
Okay. Let's look at the cultural diversity. In the United States, leaders tend to make decisions quickly and then move on. In other countries, leaders may prefer to discuss options at length. Leadership, physician communication tips, decision-making in different cultures, or 4 generations in the workforce.
And we're seeing a bunch of C and decision making.
Okay, bunch of C. Okay, I'll put C. The length of time it will take for a project or capital expenditure to recover its cost through its revenues. Payback period, line authority, operating plan, organizing. Any answers there, please?
A seems consistent answer.
Okay. Standards that are qualitative and subjective or based on perception. Example include HCAHPS, surveys, health grade surveys, employee engagement surveys, and interviews. Personality assessment, capital request form, intangible standards, or organizational development.
We've got a few people chiming in with C.
Okay, I'll choose.
Now a lot more on C. Okay.
Okay. Then true or false, we'll do true or false. Roles assumed by a leader to organize and influence the employees in a group to achieve a specified objective, Task-oriented leadership roles, true or false?
One person is saying true. No, a bunch of people are saying true now.
Okay, I'll take the true. A model and philosophy for primary care organization and delivery emphasizes safe, high-quality care that is patient-centered, accessible, comprehensive, and team-based, which is communicating bad news. True or false?
No, I think everyone's saying it's false.
Okay, false. A technique for engaging subordinates in planning for change. The 4 E's represent engagement, empathy, education, and enlistment.
More false.
So why don't I just check our answers so that we can also see a sample for the business area. So let's see, because it's 11 and I'll just show at least 2 or 3 questions for business areas. So let's check answers. So we did not do that. So let's go down to the multiple choice. Line authority is correct. Cultural diversity is correct. Decision-making in different cultures is correct. Payback period correct. So intangible, everything's correct. Yay, 5 out of 5. And true, false is correct, and false is correct. So yeah, we did everything. We got 8 out of 8. So thank you very much for that.
If only we could take the test as a group, would be great.
I know.
Well, can I just point out something else? Something I hadn't noticed on these before, which is they're sometimes giving you some explanation of the correct answer, and I think that's important to pay attention to. Don't just look whether you're right or wrong, but if you're wrong, we'll make sure you know it's right. Even if you're right, see if they give you any more information.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rick. So let's go to the sample for business. Let's go back to the main home screen of the Quizlet. Okay, back. So home. Let's go to the folders and go down, and the business section is here. Let's start with the flashcard. Let's shuffle it. So, okay.
A tool commonly used in project management to clarify the key components of a project and to ensure that the project's definition and desired outcomes coincide with an organization's strategic priorities and goals.
Any wild guess on this definition?
Project charter from one person.
Okay, the answer is project charter. A charter, yay. Someone answered charter, right?
2 people gave us that answer, but there's a lot of silence, and I'm just wondering if the silence is indicating lack of comfort with this area. Again, it might be an indication to you that if you're not sure of the term, go and study this area, include it on your priority list.
Right. Next slide. next question is intentional damage to someone else's contractual or business relationships with a third party causing economic harm. Any wild guess answer there?
Ooh, I know it. No. Yeah, no one's putting in an answer.
No answer? No guess?
Oh, wait, no. Somebody asked for a hint. Well, why don't we break down the question? So we're looking at something intentional causing damage. We're looking at contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're looking at economic harm. So damage and harm, I'm speaking as a lawyer here, immediately says to me torts, right? So torts are like negligence, right?
Yeah.
So causing intentional harm to someone.
And there's also a word
to a contractor relationship.
Yeah. And the also keyword there's intentional. So.
Intentional, yeah. Anne is saying breach of contract. Breach of contract would just be when you fail to do something that you said you would do. So probably not.
Okay, so you want let's look at the answer. Ready? Tortuous interference. So that is the answer. Next question. Wrongdoing or improper and dishonest conduct, especially by a person who holds public office or a position of trust. I guess answers there.
Conduct, I see, oh my God, regarding the last one. Someone would like it to be multiple choice.
Let's see the answer for this. Malfeasance. So malfeasance, those kind, yeah. Let's go to the multiple choice. So it's easier, right? So,
can I ask a question, Michael?
Sure.
Would those be easier for people if they saw the word and had to come up with a definition?
I'm sorry?
You can do both on both the cards as well as on Quizlet. You can look at the words and then try to define it yourself, or you can look at the definition and try to come up with the word. So again, think of what works for you.
Okay. So test. Let's start with the multiple choice. Question number 1 is, for attributes that have traditionally been used to establish an organization's market position, product, price, promotion, and place. Selections are contract, strategic positioning, gap analysis, 4 Ps. Are we seeing some answers there?
D, 4, more D.
Okay, I'll take the D.
So you've got product, price, promotion, and place, and you've got 4 Ps. So product, price, yeah, that's 4.
Yep, that's the 4 Ps of marketing.
Yeah.
It's part of the 4 Ps of marketing is part of the strategic positioning or planning. However, I think this is primarily, it talks about the 4 Ps. Number 2 is a method of assessing an organization's products or strategic business units that considers various factors, including competitive position, profitability, growth, and mission importance. SWOT analysis, core competencies, portfolio analysis, or strategic planning. What answers are you seeing there, Rick?
I'm seeing A and I'm seeing D. I'm seeing another D. And a good comment from Ed, which is, I realize that if you haven't already come across the terms in your everyday work or in your organization, reading the text first is going to improve the terminology. Absolutely. Use the terminology list at the back of each chapter, and if you don't know what it is, look it up.
Yeah. So let's put D, right?
No, I'm going to go with, I thought it was A.
Oh, A, okay.
I don't know, that's my guess, but
Okay. A systematic approach or process for envisioning a desired future and translating that vision into broadly defined goals or objectives and a sequence of steps to achieve them. Strategic positioning, strategic alliance, scenario analysis, or strategic planning.
we're getting some A's and we're getting some D's.
So these questions really, you need to really know the differences between all of these terms like strategic positioning and strategic planning. When I was taking the exam, it's one of the items that really confuses me. So
Looks like D is the main one we're getting.
okay, D. Let's look. A model of a specific strategy or function that guides design, operations, and goal setting. Vertical integration, business plan, project charter, or value chain.
Okay, we just got a B from one person, a C from another, B, B.
Okay. I think we'll take the B, majority, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And last one, we'll just answer this last one and we'll check our answers. The organizational characteristics of a market that exert a strategic influence on the intensity and form of competition. Market share, first movers, generic strategies, or market structure. So there are two confusing words here, possible for me, possible that I'm gonna choose is between market share and market structure. So I would probably definitely look into these two terms, the differences of these two terms.
We're getting some B's here.
B?
B, now I see a D. I see market structure. I see D and B.
So what's the majority?
I don't know. I think it's 50-50, but I think probably a little more B.
Okay, B. Let's do B. Okay, let's check our answers for this. Let's go down. So 4P is correct for number one. Number two is portfolio analysis.
Oh, see, I was wrong. Okay, again.
Yeah. And number three is strategic planning. Number four is business plan, and number five is market structure. That's why I remember this too. Market share and market structure. That's why I emphasize that you have to know the difference on those two. So the first movers are like the early are like it's like early adopters, first movers, and late adopters. That's not part of the market strategy. So
Michael, can I add something really quick about Quizlet and the flashcard?
sure, go ahead.
So you'll be noticing on this particular Quizlet account, there's a lot of ads that come in, and that is because I chose not to upgrade to an account that doesn't have ads. So that is an option if you choose that, if you find all the ads distracting. And several people are commenting that they find that the multiple choice portion of these sample tests is the most useful. So Michael, can you demonstrate how you can make the tests be nothing but multiple choice? I mean, you can structure this any way you want, and you can even have tests that are up to 40 questions long. And each time you create a new test, you're literally getting a new test with different questions. So I just find the test making capability of this is just perfect. So if you go to there you go. So get back into that section, would you, Michael, back into business? And then under test, there should be, I need to make this bigger. There should be an option for, if you go down, there's options. Yeah, there you go. And that's how you can set it up. You can customize how you want this to look.
Yeah, just uncheck those ones, the written matching and true false, just, retain the multiple choice, correct?
Yeah.
Then just.
So the beauty of this is you can structure practically anything in here the way that works best for you.
Yeah, okay. So probably next session we will do, we'll just set this up to have a multiple choice instead of, instead of a combination of written matching and true false and multiple choice. That will help, right? So it's 6 minutes to 11:30. Do you have any additional feedback, comments from our team before we end up the session?
One comment I'm seeing is yes, please, multiple choice.
So I'm gonna stop sharing my slide now. So hold on. How can we go?
Michael, I'll just we'll remind folks for next week, Rick's going to be presenting professional ethics, laws and regulations, and governance.
Yeah.
It's interesting how law seems to have its own area, but it also very much gets into the business one, as we just saw. So you may see some overlap in that.
So from an operational question for everyone, is everybody finding that they're actually able to get access to the information and the links that we're sending out? If not, please let me know. Obviously you were able to get into the Zoom link, but Tamara is the one that sends stuff out through the CAHL ACHE email as well. So let both of us know if you're not able to access the information that we're sending out.
Okay.
We appreciate that participants have noted a great week, but most importantly for you, it gives you the opportunity to identify areas to review. That was part of our goals, is that it gives you the ability to look at your study plan, like we've mentioned.
Okay, so would like to thank you all for your participation today. And in spite of it's Saturday, you had time to join us in this virtual webinar or virtual exam prep. So we hope to see you again next week, same time and same virtual place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.